Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Appreciating Veterans, especially on Sunday. Today I have with me some real heavy hitters, as my friend told me a few minutes ago. But to say it lightly, I have with me Commander of the 8th District of the American Legion, Commander John Ferret, and I have with me Commander of the Post 1, Commander Fred Merrick. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you. Just to give you a little bit more pedigree on Commander Merrick, he's also a member of the VFW. He's been an ordained minister here in the San Francisco area for over 30 years. And he says he's not a native, but he's lived here for 35 years. So I think that kind of makes him a native. Anyway, we're going to talk with him first. Commander, welcome. Could you give us a brief idea of some of the things that's happening in your post, the way the post is going, and how this mayoral election is going to affect the veterans in general at your post?
To be honest, a number of our posts are struggling. Mine is. Our bank account is down near zero. Our attendance at meetings is very low. Part of the problem with attendance is transportation. Part of the problem with finances is communication. So I am trying, as the leader of my post, to get activities going that will interest my men, bring them out, will in some cases help them improve their finances, make sure that we are getting dues paid and cutting what little costs we have so that we can provide them the services that they need. I've been a resident of San Francisco for over 34 years, so I have an investment in what goes on in our community. I've noticed during elections that there seems to be a lot of controversy over whether candidates are representing the people or the business or any one of a number of other ways that our community can be divided. My presence here is to try to make sure that the candidates for mayor at least have an opportunity to discuss publicly how they see the issues that veterans consider important and how they would respond to those issues. So we have set up this series of interviews with all the candidates who want to participate to give them an opportunity to address their constituents and see if they meet our needs.
Thank you very much. And do you feel that the candidates in general will hear your voice and come down and talk with us? Do you know any of the candidates personally, or have you been in touch with any of their offices as to coming down and talking with us about these issues?
I have received advertising from candidates. I have deliberately stayed at arm's length from getting involved with any of them so that I can be impartial and say, these are the issues, that's the only thing I'm interested in. It's up to you to sell your response and your program to the people who will be voting.
Thank you. And Commander Ferret, tell us about what's happening in your venue as far as your post is concerned, and how many members you currently have, and what do they think about the candidates in general?
Well, again, I'm the 8th District Commander of the American Legion here in San Francisco, which basically means I oversee 17 posts which are all housed in the War Memorial Veterans Building at 401 Van Ness Avenue. The membership strength of the district on the books is 2,600 members. We currently have about 60% of them paid up for the current year. So as far as membership is, 60% of that. But what really is important is that those numbers tell you a lot. Back 20, 30 years ago, that was the membership strength for one quarter. There would be at least 4 times that number of veterans participating in posts like Commander Merrick's Post 1 and the post I belong to, Post 448, as an individual member. But that activity is diminished for many reasons, and it's part of the focus of why we're asking the candidates to come in, because there is this beautiful building here that is being underutilized by the veterans as reported by the Board of Trustees. But the truth is, because it's in poor repair, it's in poor, as we walk through this building and you can see the drinking fountains don't work, bathrooms are poorly maintained, the rooms have poor carpet in them, the posts are crammed into small spaces even though there's empty floors in this building. So they're not using the building properly because they can't get into it and use it properly because it's not available to them and not attractive. But more importantly, what was important is we're trying to attract the younger veterans that are coming offline from Iraq and Afghanistan, okay. and for us to invite them in and to bring them in there, for example, Commander Merrick's post, and revitalize his activities, change their financial situation through activity and providing services for veterans. We're actually not very attractive to young veterans because it's a dilapidated building. Who would want to come into that if they can go over to the school and they've got a nice room to use and proper facilities? So tying back to your question and adding on a little is that is why we're looking for the mayoral candidates of San Francisco, mayoral election upcoming, to come in and speak to us, because we have a set of questions. We're going to ask each of them the same questions. We're looking at why are they interested in becoming a mayor. Are they also interested in protecting the rights of veterans in San Francisco, returning the favor for all that veterans have done for the United States of America over time, and also to protect their interest in the War Memorial Veterans Building here in San Francisco. And I'm very interested in hearing what all of them have to say.
Well, thank you. And you hit on something that I've been very interested in. I wonder, Commander Merrick, if you could tell me that how the allocation of space in the building, how has that affected your post now? And then from what I hear in the future, as far as the renovations and things are concerned, it seems like there's some controversy as to how the veterans are going to fit in after the renovations are concerned. Can you address that a little for me?
In the original trust agreement, there were 3 buildings planned. As the fundraising went, they only had enough money to build 2 of them. In the original plan, one of the buildings was to be dedicated for the use of war veterans and was dedicated specifically to the use of American Legion posts of San Francisco. That's the language that was in the trust. Since that time, we have found that we had our own contributions to the lack of use of the building, but some of the problems with using the building were not our fault. But if I wanted to assign blame, I could look at the Board of Trustees and say, we requested use of space for an educational center. They blocked our request. We came to them with a proposal to install swords to plowshares with a training center. They blocked our proposal and then went behind our back to the swords into plowshares and negotiated their own lease with them, cutting us out. That says to me that they are not fulfilling their responsibilities as trustees of the building to watch for the interests of the beneficiaries, which means us. We are being denied our rights to use the building as beneficiaries of the trust. And this is why we are going public to make an issue out of this building as a place where services can be available and provided to the veterans community in San Francisco.
Thank you. And Commander Ferret, the same question. How is the building allocation or the space allocation that affected your post? And what are some of the things that you all are talking about as far as once you get into the new building or once the building has been renovated, how is the American Legion and other veteran posts going to fit into that?
Well, right now, like I said, there are 17 posts that are in the 8th district of San Francisco and therefore have rights to use this building. Because many posts are crammed together in single offices that are rather long and slender, but having one room has 6 posts in it, so it's a wonder why a couple of them don't use the office space, because they'd have to encroach on someone else's space. There are some posts that don't even keep their office here anymore because it's not a convenient building for them to use. And so that's kind of the conditions we're in now. The proposed plan for us in the future was they were going to take us off of the first floor because, God forbid, the handicapped veterans should be able to access everything they need on the first floor. They're moving us to the second and purportedly some of the third floor. And they're ideally going to create office space that's going to be much better than we have now. That is true. But I posed a question, and I felt bad about it, but I knew I had to do it when I saw the interim mayor, Mayor Lee, at the Memorial Day event at the Presidio this last Monday. I looked at him and I asked him a question. I said, the War Memorial Veterans Building, in the future plans of this building, the trustees are proposing to give us 18% of the building. I said, I used an analogy with the mayor. I said, Your Honor, if I own the AT&T building and I'm AT&T and I sell 55% of it to MCI, it's not the AT&T building anymore, is it? Well, if you have the War Memorial Veterans Building and you take the building that was built for the veterans, for their use, and many years ago this was a very vibrant building, but again recently we've had less activity, and you give them only 18% of it, it's not the veterans building anymore. And you install the opera folks on the 4th floor, you give the Arts Commission and the other performing arts folks more use of the building in the primary spots where they would be most attracted to the public, then it's no longer the veterans building. And I hated to do that to him, and I apologized to him. I said, just remember that number, 18%, Your Honor, and I'll talk to you later. Well, that's what we're going to need to ask the candidates. Do you think that the War Memorial Veterans Building should have only 18% of its space designated for veterans? And that's what the future is going to look like.
Well, a question that came to me the other day from one of my members, they said they were asking